Alright, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Digi Daily. So, I just saw a tweet right before recording, so I want to talk about that because it's really good news. So, as you know, by the time this video is out, the Digimon X2, they're not accepting any more pre-orders. So, if you did not pre-order your Digimon X2, you're now going to have to either A, pay a pretty premium price to get one, or B, just wait for the X3s to come out. So, we don't know yet what the X3s look like, what the theme is going to be, any of that stuff yet, but we do know that the screen, thank the Lord, is going to be better. They actually literally just tweeted out, they showed off the screen, they said, hey, you know, pre-orders are ending today, we just wanted to announce that we're changing the LCD on the screen. I don't know why they waited now to say that, but hey, better late than never, you know what they say. Recently, they did show off the screen at, there was a recent convention in Japan, and there's a couple people who got some hands-on footage of the X2, and in that footage, the screen is extremely dark, very much like the screens on the X1, and that made me really upset because I really don't like how dark those screens are. However, from the picture, it looks a lot like the screen quality on the English 20th, so I'm not too sure if it legit is just the same screen put in that device or not, but this is good news. I'm actually going to be able to see my damn device, and I'm really happy about that because honestly, the Digimon 20th, the Japanese one at least, yeah, the screen was dark, but it wasn't too bad. It was still bearable. The Pendulum 20th, I think the screen was perfect. I don't know what happened there. They had it all figured out essentially as far as I'm concerned with the Pendulum 20th. As soon as they went back to this screen, this size, this form factor, this case on the Digimon X, the screen got super duper dark, and I still don't know what happened exactly, but it's still one of my lowest. Like, that's one of the reasons I don't dock any points off of the X1 for it, but it is annoying. It's enough to really just be like, man, why did they do this? Because again, pretty high quality device overall, and it just makes that stick out like a sore thumb. But like I said, crystal clear screen. It looks pretty much very similar to the quality that the Digimon English 20th has, so I'm really happy about that. They showed off like the cut-in for Keymon, I believe, and just another kind of it in standby, and it's looking pretty good. So let's show off something real quick. Now I'm doing battles today because they need to do their battles or they'll die. So real quick, I just want to talk about ExTyrannomon. Now, ExTyrannomon, now all the puppet type Digimon, they're not super duper obvious to the untrained eye. If you look at Edamon's original artwork, he's pretty obvious. Monzaimon's not super obvious, but in my opinion, Examon is very obvious as far as like the fact that he is not who he appears to be. He's actually a Digimon inside of this makeshift kind of mascot suit. What is in there? Like, what is in there? Look at those beady yellow eyes. It looks very similar, in my opinion, to Digitamamon. Now, Digitamamon is another Digimon with a very similar beady little eyes hidden inside of what the Digimon is. Although, it's implied that Digitamamon, like, whatever's inside there is what grew inside that Digi-Egg. Whereas this, we have, like, no clue. Now, like I said before, it's theorized, as far as Etmon and even Monzaimon, that inside of these guys are little trashy boys trying to kind of hide. They also get like a power boost too. It's like a symbiosis kind of thing too, on top of them like hiding and looking and appearing and even being stronger. But I'm still like, I never got over that, because again, I really love them. I still do, but that's always this biggest mystery to him. Like, what is in there? Now, Digimon does have an evolution that shows essentially what is inside of that Digi-Egg, and it is terrifying. Horrifying. It is like this like eldritch horror with a bunch of eyes, and he's like this like, you know, this like black dragon. He's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But you know, I don't know. It's just such a weird thing. Like, what's in there? Like, what's your secret, man? Who's in there? Who are you, really? I don't even know who you are. But, other than that, let's jump in to some battles. So, first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to, a commenter from yesterday's video, because they, thankfully, cracked the code for me. I was able to find out what Edamon's original kind of gimmick, or yeah, really what his gimmick was in Japan, because in America the whole Elvis impersonator thing works so well, but there's no way he was originally crafted to be that. And Chuck Pierce, huge shout out, thank you so much. He said the original Japanese dub, Edamon was depicted as a bad karaoke singer. Being that wouldn't translate very well in the US, especially in '99, a bad Elvis impersonator was about the closest thing you can do. So yeah, bad karaoke singer. So that explains the sunglasses, the kind of like really hotshot demeanor, being super annoying, and also the microphone. So that's where that all comes from, because he's supposed to be like a bad karaoke singer who gets as full of himself and is super obnoxious. I love that. That's genius. I feel like that those two things are so like close together in my opinion, because like, can you imagine like an obnoxious, you know, you ever know someone who like thinks they're really good at something but they're really not, like, you know, they think they can sing or they think they can act or whatever, and like, you know, you don't want to hurt their feelings and just be flat out like, you suck, stop. But at the same time, they're super obnoxious about like their apparent prowess. Like in their head, they're just like, yeah, oh man, I can sing so good, blah blah blah. And then you hear them sing, and it's like really horrible. And you're like, ugh, okay. And you kind of put yourself in that awkward situation, so you just don't say anything at all. That's essentially Edmon's gimmick. In the dub, I mean, the whole being an Elvis impersonator, it is annoying. But he does a pretty good job at it, if you ask me. But it's still pretty interesting. Like, I like that. That's a really interesting idea. Most of the time, you know, most of the things they changed in the Digimon dub are a little, they're interesting changes, you know. But I feel like that one, that was a good call, because honestly, it does kind of show off, like, that side of the character. You still kind of keep that goofiness, but you make it more contextual to something that we can wrap our heads around here in the States without completely just like erasing what the character's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Translation's always hard like that, especially, I don't know about you guys, I don't know how I never noticed this, but like, you know, growing up, especially watching like the first Digimon movie, I was always confused when they like mentioned America, because I was always under the impression, for some stupid reason, that like Digimon took place in America, when it totally doesn't. It's like obviously Japan. Going back and watching the show, it's like, this is obviously Japan. Nothing like this exists in America. There's no like apartment complexes that look like the apartment complex in Odaiba, like all that stuff. But I always thought like it was some kind of like, you know, fictional, you know, city that's supposed to take place in America. But it's not, you know, so they mentioned America in the movie, it's like, wait, we're not already there? Especially considering the fact that they do go to Manhattan in the beginning of the O2 part of the movie, you know, where they're in, like, they're in Manhattan, so it's like, that's, you know, that's instantly recognizable to me. I go to New York a lot. I live very close to New York, so whenever I see Manhattan and anything, I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is in America. Just a weird thing. I don't know. It's, you know, anime back in the day really felt uncomfortable mentioning the fact that these shows were taking place in Japan, or the people in the show were Japanese, which was always, you know, like a weird thing. Pokemon's the biggest proponent of that issue. You know, the whole rice balls debacle where Brock makes rice balls, which are a Japanese treat, and in the dub, they don't even try to like paste it over. It's just like, it's the same thing. And they're like, wow, how do you like my rice balls? And they're like, wow, I love rice balls. And he's like, yeah, they're jelly filled. And it's like, I'm sorry, that's not what that is. Because even as a kid, I was like, man, those are some really wacky looking, some wacky looking donuts. I want donuts like that. And then I found out they're just rice balls. And I still want them now, don't get me wrong. But my idea of what even they're supposed to taste like completely skewed. So I'm a little scared of having rice balls. I just need to keep in mind they're supposed to be a savory thing, not a, you know, a sweet thing. They're not supposed to be donuts. Oh, man. Speaking of Pokemon, it seems like a lot of people's hype has been restored because of that newest trailer for Sword and Shield. Is anyone seeing it? Looks like Galarian like a lot of new abilities that they've been introducing have been enticing the competitive crowd. And I mean, I've said this before. I don't know if I've got it on camera, but I'll say it now for the sake of saying it. One, I'm buying Sword and Shield, regardless. I like Pokemon. You know, could it be better? Of course, but I still enjoy it. I don't feel ripped off. I still like it. So with that being said, the people that are complaining about Pokemon, I think most of them are people who've never even played the series since, like, you know, a certain time, whether it be Gen 4 or Gen 5. And others are, even though they're going to complain about the game, they're going to buy it. They're going to be there either day one, you know, week 1, week 2. They're still going to get the game. Like, regardless. They're going to buy the game. They're going to fall, you know, into the hype. And then they're going to leave disappointed. But, like, regardless of that, it's still going to happen. Like, that's the thing I hate about people when they complain a lot about stuff, but still get the stuff. You know, you can complain about Pokemon all you want, sure. There are things that they could change. But when you say things as drastic as, I'm not going to buy the next game, or, you know, like, whatever, you know, stuff like that, but then you end up, like, buying the game anyway. And I'm not talking about the people who, like, review it and stuff like that. They have to buy it, you know? That's like me. Like, if Bandai released, like, a real stinker of a device, I'd still kind of have to buy it at this point, just because, like, you guys want to see it. I want to provide you guys content, and, you know, people would still want to know how bad it is. You know, they would want to know my opinion. So they're kind of locked in like that. But the people that aren't, you know, YouTubers and still complaining about it, I know they're still going to buy the game. It's just like a given. But with that being said, I'm very hyped for Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's looking real good. But with that being said, as you can see, I've placed the Digivice down, or the V-Pet, and we're going to go. We're going to head out and edit today's episode and get ready to deplete the rest of this DP bar. And then pray that I don't get another carrot mistake. I almost got one yesterday. Or did I get one? Let's pretend I did, just so I can be extra cautious. Another thing I've noticed before we go, I'm so sorry, a lot of false starts here. This screen, the background, I noticed it on my older devices, but like, yeah, this one you could definitely tell. See that kind of like weird, those lines on the screen back there? Now I haven't opened this device up. Just keep that in mind. I haven't opened this device up. There's like these lines, and they're not scratches on the screen itself. It's actually, I think, on the background. I noticed it again. A little less noticeable, but it's still there on this one. Now, when I first bought my English 20th, I didn't notice that on the background, but now it's actually starting to show slightly. Now, you can't see it now because the screen's on, but it's a lot more noticeable when the screen's off. There are these little, like, lines forming. And I believe, yeah, there we go. Okay, it's not noticeable on camera yet, but in some angles, you can start to see, kind of like there, you can start to see some lines forming. I think this is something wrong with the background. I think it's, this summer's been very humid, and I don't have these devices stored in exactly a cool place. They're either in my pocket, dangling around my waist, or they're just kind of sitting here. Now, my other devices, I don't notice that. Like, the Pen 20th screen, you know, there's nothing. There's a scratch on there, but that's another story entirely. Same thing with the black Pen 20th screen. Again, there's a scratch on it, but that's a different thing entirely. Not doing that. So, and my other devices don't have that issue. So I think that's something wrong with the way they make these backgrounds, that they kind of get like that after a while. So if your backgrounds look like that, let me know in the comments down below. I think it's a humidity issue. Like, if this gets too humid, the humidity kind of wrecks your background a little bit. Because now, you know, like I said, it's very noticeable here. I don't think it was like that when I first bought it. And then even, let's look at the DMX. I don't think it's forming on here, but I could be wrong. It might be forming horizontally instead of vertically. So that's interesting. I think, again, it might be a humidity thing. So I gotta invest in a nice little, you know, bait and tackle box to put all these in so they can be in a nice cool place when I'm not using them. Because it looks like that is definitely some form of issue with these devices. So keep that in mind, everyone. Very, very careful where you're storing this. Because it seems like humidity, that background's very sensitive to humidity. So yeah, I'm gonna go now for real. Peace. Woo.